It's all right. Well, that was fun. I'm sure CBS enjoyed that. I'm sure the ratings were great. It's good to win. Really, really proud of everybody. There were a lot of moments of truth, I thought, where plays just had to be made at crunch time, and guys did that. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that'll make the plays when they have to the most. And when you get into statistics, you can get into this, that, or the other. But the bottom line is, there's going to be a lot of games that come down to the wire, and games that we're proud of those guys. Just so many good things happened. Very, very proud of the team, coaches. Our fans were awesome. Some of them I call-in show was kind of calling for a red out, so we tried to get it going. I think 99% of all of our fans wore red and showed up early. And our student body, I love how they show up early and cheer our guys on during pregame warm-up. The red coat band was off the chain, cheerleaders. Got to ring the bell, got to ring the chapel bell, so it was a good day between the edges.
Coach, were you reminded at all of that crazy 2006 game, the way this was going, where you jumped out to a big lead and then all of a sudden some gaffes and Tennessee comes roaring back?
I forgot that game. Did we win that game?
You did not.
Did not win that game.
That's right.
I forgot that one. Really, I don't. Was it there close?
No, that was here. 51-33. You guys were up 24-7, and made gaffes in the second quarter. A lot of.
Tereshinski started up 24-7 and lost 50-something.
51-33. Clearly, it didn't remind you of that game.
Mark, I got selective memory.
I guess even with a 2-touchdown lead, you just can't have a real feel comfortable against that offense, can you?
No. They've got a very good offense. Great ingredients, big, good-looking linemen, fantastic first-round looking receivers. As a matter of fact, I think both of them ought to go pro when the year's over. Bray really ought to go too. I think he's been there long enough. They're pretty good.
You talk about your freshman tailbacks again.
They're pretty good too. They can't go anywhere for a while. Which is nice. Yeah, they're pretty good. But there's been some really good blocking. And part of it is just the linemen and the backs and the fullbacks and tight ends blocking well receivers. But some of it is just Murray being able to get us in the right play. We're not just going up there and calling a run and running it. We're going up there with some combos. We call them combos. It might be one or two runs that are in the in his pocket to call, so to speak. And if it's a bad look for either one, you can check to a pass. And if there's a really great look for another run, we'll let him do that too. So Murray is just a great student of the game. Coach Bobo, Coach Fred, especially Coach McClendon, all just do a wonderful job of understanding the run game. And just they get us into the best possible calls that we can get into, and then we've been blocking good. Again, the guys are a combination of speed, and power, and vision, and balance. Those two backs are really playing well right now.
Mark, how do you digest a game like this from the defensive side? Do you consider it an aberration against a good offense, or are there some deeper things in play here?
Well, we threw a pick six. We fumbled it twice, deep in our territory. Imagine about 21 points of that really was, I won't say caused by the offense or by special team, but it certainly didn't help. Our defense is still allowed to force them into a field goal, which they did a couple times, and it made a difference. When you force a team to kick a field goal and they miss it, that's huge. Force them to kick a field goal instead of getting 7, that's huge in a game like that. So, but Tennessee did get over 400 yards of offense and then made their share of big plays. So I'm not saying that Tennessee didn't do well offensively, because they did. But I would say to the degree of the points on the board there. But I was just talking with Coach Grantham, and we've been around long enough to know that we need to really be thankful and glad that we won the game, and not gripe and moan about points, yards, and all that kind of stuff, because it doesn't matter. It Doesn't matter. What matters is winning and playing big when you got to play big. And we did that tonight, so I was happy.
Is a game like that good going into a big showdown with South Carolina next week? Getting pushed a little?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think anytime your heart, you get a gut check or your heart starts pumping real hard, you got to make plays when it really is truly a crunch time where it's now or never. That's big, and to come out with a victory and making the plays when we had to make them, I think that just gives confidence to our team. And you know, I thought our team did a great job at halftime of not, there was no kind of bickering or finger pointing or whatever. I mean, everybody just knew it's basically 0-0. We got to come out and play 30 minutes, and can we beat this team in a 30-minute period? And our coaches made good adjustments, and everybody was focused in on what coaches had to say. And we just went out there and kept playing on it. Excuse me, so I was proud of them.
You expressed some concern about special teams coming into this game. How are you coming out of it?
Well, there were some good things that happened. First of all, like one stat that people get all worked up about is, net punt. Well, to me, we've been punting the ball in such a way where we're not giving up many returns. Now, we haven't been booming it way down the field, but we're getting the ball up, we're getting a lot of fair catches, and we're not letting the guys getting started to where they can make a big play. They've not blocked a punt against us. So, I mean, even though you might be ranked down in net punt, I'm just fine with what we're doing on the punt team. We punt, return, and block. We block another kick. That was huge part of the game. Obviously we mishandled the one kickoff, but it was kind of a weird kick. I mean, it was not many. It's like a knuckleballer out there. I mean, it was a tough one to decide what to do on it. But that's when you get, sometimes you get freshmen back there, and those things happen. Malcolm certainly, in my opinion, could have come up on the one punt and just caught it, fair catched it. But he let it hit and he let it roll, and before you know it's on the 1 yard line. That's tough. That's bad field position situation. So we put Rhett McGowan in there, and right now, as far as I'm concerned, Rhett's the guy, and I need him to make good decisions on, come up and make the fair catch. I don't even care if he gets, a lot of yards to return, but let's make good decisions on when to catch it and secure it. And he did have a punt return once where he got some space, and he got about 10 to 15 yards on it. I think Ray will do a good job in that area, so I think that'll help us. I think we're covering our kickoffs pretty good. I think our kickoff coverage team is pretty good. Extra point field goal, they blasted through and blocked it. I mean, that's not good. We've had a mishandled snap. We've hit a couple off the goalpost. It's a little bit of a comedy of errors, but thankfully when we've tried our 2-point conversions, we've gotten them. So it's kind of made up for it, so to speak. Doesn't excuse it, but at least it hadn't cost us a game, and I think we'll still continue to get better. But then when a kid drills a 50-yard field goal with just a couple seconds left at the half, if he'd have missed that, no one would have said anything, and that's like kicking 3 extra points, I'm kind of happy about that. So, you get people saying, well, I'm not going to get into what people say.
Coach, you talk about your defense and how points and yards don't really matter, but you guys kind of had a reputation of being an elite defense coming into the season. Do you feel that you guys are playing up to that reputation right now?
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. I mean, again, there was our defense got put in a couple bad spots that they got to bow their neck and keep people out of the end zone. But again, I said it in the beginning of the year too that I don't care about stats, because you might have great statistics defensively, but then you get in a game where you got to get a stop. You might be leading the nation in rush defense and points per game and all that, but then there's a time, like in this game, where you got to get a stop right now, or we're going to overtime, And that's what I was most concerned about. Will we make the play at the moment of truth? And we did, so I'm pleased with that.
Mark, can you talk about the explosion you guys have on offense? Is it there?
I'll tell you what, I didn't see it coming. If you guys could have seen our first practice in the spring, you just shook your head and said, we got no chance. I mean, our offensive line was just getting the tar beat out of them, and we didn't look very good at all. And Coach Friend has done a wonderful job with those guys, and Mike Bobo and the entire offensive staff. They have really done a good job. And I mean, Mike has just blossomed into one heck of a coach, you know. And I know anybody who calls plays catches grief. I mean, I was a play caller, and I caught my share of grief. And so anybody calling plays catches grief. But you know, I've always known Mike is he's just a heck of a ball coach. He understands the game. You know, there's a lot of, even myself as a coordinator, I understood the pass game pretty darn good. And I understood the run game to a certain degree, but not to the degree that Mike understands it. You know, he really understands how to run that ball and how to call the game and the run game too. And I think our staff, I mean, I sit in there in just about every one of the offensive staff meetings, and I'm more observant than I'm in there directing. I'm not directing it, Mike's directing it. And I listen to them, game plan, I listen to their thoughts. You know, I'll give a couple suggestions here and there, but for the most part, I just nod my head saying, these guys really know what they're doing. I'm really, I don't need to get in the way of them. I don't need to get in the way of them. They're doing a super job.
Mark, Malcolm Mitchell didn't play any defense, I guess, tonight. Is he, where is he right now?
Well, he was our number 2 nickel behind Cinco, behind Swan, Bob Cinco. And if anything happened to Swan, whether it was fatigue or injury, then he'd have been the nickel. So, you know, he's got to continue to know that and learn that, and we're going to continue to try to train Josh Harvey Clemens in that spot too. But, you know, we felt like if something happened to Swanee, then Malcolm would have had to play full-time at nickel.
How different is y'all's defense when you have Rambo and Ogletree out there?
Well, schematically, it's not different. Athletically, it's different. I mean, those guys are really fine athletes. I think both of them were the top 2 leading tacklers in their ball game, so that was a good sign that they do have that they did have that kind of production. But you know, if you're listening to the headsets, you hear coaches correct things as they happen, and there's some things that both Rambo and Tree need to you know, correct. But overall, they played good. They played hard. I think they had good conditioning, which was good. And like I said before, sometimes like Tree last year, he had an injury. He missed a lot of games and came back off an injury. So during that whole time he was hurt, he wasn't practicing much. Maybe a little bit more towards the very end. But you know, in this situation, they were practicing the whole time. They were conditioning the whole time. They should have been in better shape than coming back off an injury. So we got a ways to go, but I'm glad they got to play. And guys like a Marlo Herrera and Gilliard and you know, Christian Robinson. I mean, those guys got to play still because they earned playing time. And Grantham did a good job of finding everybody's niche, whether it was base, nickel, third down, whatever it was. Those other linebackers got to keep playing because they earned it.
But Sanders had dropped some interceptions last year and kind of was a judge machine a few times. He had those 2 big ones in the 4th today.
So Sanders got 2? That's awesome. That's awesome. We talked a lot about, you know, we said we believe that, I told them, I said the ball is going to hit you guys in the hand. There's going to be some balls that hit your hands, and you got to catch them. You got to catch them. Because I felt like we were going to be able to put pressure on them. I felt like there's going to be some times, as many times as they throw it, normally there's a time or two where that ball's going to hit the DB in the hands. And now if you don't catch it, it's just a wasted opportunity. But if you catch it, you change the momentum of the game. And I think we caught everything that hit our hands. There's one, seemed like a tree broke on one that I don't know if he could have caught it or not, but he was trying to go to the house with it. I think they actually caught that one, but we were going for some picks and we ended up getting them.
Mark, how concerning was I guess, a 4-minute period late in the second quarter where you made a couple mistakes and it seemed to snowball real quick on you?
Well, I mean, it's just football. It happens. Things don't go the way you want it to go, and so now you got to decide. For me, it's always been, where are we now? What do we got to do to win? Not whose fault was it or, oh, woe was me. It's just like, you know, what's the score? and what do we got to do to win? So I'm not shocked if bad things happen. Bad things happen in life, bad things happen in football games, and you got to keep your cool and keep believing and keep banging away until the clock goes to 0, and hopefully you did enough to win.
That said, with this team, is there something you see in this team that allows them to overcome that sort of thing when last year maybe not?
I hope so. I mean, so far we've been able to overcome the adversity we've had to this point. I thought the Missouri game certainly was a game that was tight, and guys had to make plays when it counted the most, and we did that. But that was great the way we finished that game. We finished this game well. The rest of the season really hadn't been a whole lot of drama, but I'm sure there'll be drama next week.
What was the most important play to you down the stretch? Did you think it was when Jordan Jenkins caused the fumble and Big John lands on it, or the Cummings interception right at the end? Or
well, it could have been the biggest play of the game, the fumble by Bray that we got on. If offense would have got one first down, it would have been over. But as it turned out, they get the ball again, so we need to make another big play. I think all those plays are huge, and really, as it turned out, we probably needed all of them to come out with a win.
Time for one more question?
What do you think of your pass rush tonight?
Well, I think there's time. You can see there's times when Bray had to throw it away and get rid of the ball. And there's a couple times where I think we squeezed the pocket and made him throw a little bit sooner than he wanted to. We didn't have any sacks, but you don't have to always have sacks to affect a passer and end up having a successful day. But we'd like that. We like sacks. We like when we sack guys. And we might have one sack. I don't know if they counted that. When Bray got up in the pocket and fumbled, I don't know if that was considered a sack or not. But I don't know. But if we did, that might have been the only sack of the game. But I think they've got great pass protectors. I think their line is really exceptional. Okay.